It began like any other morning. Clear skies, a soft breeze, and the hum of tires on pavement as Simone Hartley eased her silver sedan into the lot beside the Charleston Federal Courthouse. Moss-draped oaks lining the avenue cast graceful shadows in the early light. The courthouse's brick facade glowed golden under the rising sun. Dressed in a navy blazer over a crisp blouse, slacks pressed to a perfect crease, and modest heels that clicked gently with each step, she appeared like any professional woman starting her day. But this morning would end unlike any other. Simone never wore her judge's robe outside the courtroom. Not from modesty, though she had plenty, but because she believed in showing up as a citizen first. Her authority didn't come from fabric. It came from knowing who she was without it. At the courthouse security checkpoint, she joined the small line of early staffers entering for the day's hearings. Deputy Marshal Rick Kane stood guard at the metal detector, arms crossed. His posture made it clear. He cared more about enforcing authority than knowing names. His eyes narrowed as Simone approached. "Ma'am," he said, not rudely, but with unmistakable stiffness. "I'm going to need you to step aside." Simone paused. "Is there a problem?" He didn't answer immediately. His eyes trailed from her neatly twisted silver hair to the leather portfolio in her hand, then back to the calm confidence in her gaze. Something about her clearly unsettled him. "No visible ID," he muttered. "You can't walk into a federal building like you own the place." Without a word, Simone reached into her blazer, pulled out her federal badge and credentials, and held them up. Kane didn't truly look at them. Instead, he snatched them from her hand, gave them a perfunctory glance, then stuffed them into his pocket. "I'd like that returned," she said, cool but firm. Kane stepped forward, standing far too close. "You in a hurry, sweetheart?" The word landed like a slap. A young female guard at the scanner looked up, clearly uncomfortable, but said nothing. Simone remained composed. "I need to get to a courtroom." "Then you'll follow my protocol," Kane snapped, jerking his head. "That includes random checks. Let's go." He didn't wait for her response. With one heavy hand, he grabbed her arm and led her down a corridor, away from the main atrium, into a stark screening room. No windows. Just cold tile, a metal chair, and scanning equipment. "I do not consent to this," she said clearly. "You have no justification. You're detaining me without cause." Kane nodded to two other guards entering behind her. "That's cause enough," he said. "Sit." Simone didn't move. "You think that badge you flashed means something," he sneered. "Not here. Not to me." One guard, barely out of his 20s, grabbed her wrist. The other placed a hand on her shoulder. "I want your names," Simone demanded. No one answered. Kane picked up a pair of clippers from a tray. "Could be something hidden in that mop." Her breath caught. "You're not serious." "Standard protocol," he shrugged. Before she could respond, the buzzing began. The sharp vibration touched her scalp. A thick strand of her silver hair fell to the floor. Then another. And another. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She sat perfectly still as her dignity was stripped from her, strand by strand. Watched as pieces of her identity fell silently to the cold floor. One guard chuckled. "She looks better already." Kane smirked. "Now you look more presentable." Simone's hands clenched in her lap, but her voice, when it came, was steady. "You'll regret this." Kane sneered. "People like you always say that." He opened the door and gestured back toward the hallway. "You're free to go. Courtroom's that way." She retrieved her badge from his desk without a word and walked out. What Kane didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Simone Hartley wasn't just another woman walking into a courthouse. She was the presiding federal judge over the high-profile hearing drawing national attention that very morning. The case involved excessive force by law enforcement during a peaceful protest. Now she was going to take the bench. Every step from that hallway to the courtroom felt heavier than the last. Not from fear, but fury. She entered the courtroom. Her silver curls gone. Her scalp still raw. Heads turned. Conversations died. People stared. Some blinked in disbelief. Simone walked behind the bench, past shocked journalists, attorneys, plaintiffs, defendants, and the very deputies who had just violated her. One of them, the younger one, froze as she passed. Without ceremony, she pulled on her robe piece by piece, slow and deliberate. It settled over her shoulders like armor. "Is the docket ready?" she asked the court clerk. "Why, yes, Your Honor," the clerk stammered. Simone sat, her voice unwavering. "We will begin preliminary testimony on Case 2489C, United States versus Charleston Police Department." The room held its breath. One by one, witnesses took the stand. A father who saw his teenage son beaten during a protest. A former courthouse employee who admitted complaints against officers like Kane were routinely ignored. Each testimony cut through the room like a scalpel. After the second witness, Simone called a recess. As the courtroom emptied, she remained seated. A few staff lingered, including Kane, still by the side door. She fixed her eyes on him. "Deputy Kane," she said, her voice sharp as shattered glass. "Step forward." He blinked. "Your Honor." "Now." He obeyed, visibly sweating. "State your full name for the record." "Everett Kane." "How long have you worked here?" 13 years. "And how many women have you assaulted in that room?" His eyes widened. Your Honor, I didn't." 12 complaints, Deputy Kane. 12. Buried. Dismissed. You didn't even ask my name. You didn't recognize me. You saw a black woman and assumed she didn't belong. That's your bias. And today it ends. Her words dropped like thunder in a cathedral. You are under investigation for assault, abuse of authority, and obstruction. Officers, escort Deputy Kane to holding. Isolate him from general population. Charges to follow. Kane sputtered. "You can't." "I already did." As the courtroom emptied, the whispers turned into headlines. Judge assaulted by courthouse security. The story went viral before noon. Back in her chambers, a folder waited, slid in quietly by a clerk. Inside were all 12 complaints against Kane. Each one dismissed. Each signed off by her former mentor, Judge Warren Ellerby. At the bottom, a memo. One line glared like a wound. "Kane may be rough, but he keeps order. Especially with certain types." The quiet part. Said out loud. Simone returned to the bench with fire in her veins. The next session wasn't about the past. It was about what came next. She held up a manila folder. "This," she announced, "is a policy proposal effective immediately." She named it the Hartley Mandate. It required comprehensive anti-bias training, psychological evaluations, zero tolerance for discrimination, regular accountability audits. "I'll take this to Congress if I must," she said. "What happened to me will not happen again. Not here. Not under my watch." There was no applause, just stillness. Powerful, aching stillness. When Kane returned to court in handcuffs, he didn't speak. For abuse of power, civil rights violations, and obstruction, Simone pronounced sentence. "This court sentences you to the maximum under federal law, 6 years in prison." Then, she leaned in. Her voice, low and surgical. "You spent your career deciding who deserved dignity. Now you sit in the seat you carved for others." He was led away. And still, Simone wasn't done. She contacted the DOJ. Unsealed files. Confronted judges who signed off on silence. More officials resigned. The courthouse began to change. Outside, citizens, students, survivors gathered on the steps. Not chanting, just standing. Bearing witness. Weeks later, she was invited to speak at a local middle school. A girl, barely above a whisper, asked, "Do you still believe in the system?" Simone replied, "I don't believe in what it was, but I believe in what it can become." Months passed. Then came the call from Washington. She had been selected to receive the Presidential Medal of Justice. At the ceremony, standing before the nation, Simone began, "I wasn't supposed to be here.